Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and we're back again with another Spirit Island video. Today, let's talk about a good card. A really good card. A card that is so good in game breaking that many have removed it entirely from their games. Of course, I'm referring to the event Numinous Crisis. If you have watched any of mine or Red's gameplay videos, you may have noticed that we like to skip this card. And the reason is that its effect on the game deviates too far from the mean of how much every other event affects the game. Numinous Crisis in particular is just considered to be too good for the players, and it makes the game too easy to win. So what does it do? Let's read it. The spiritual energy of the island weakens as life's connection grow ever more tattered. You may draw strength from it while you can. Remove one blight per player from the blight card. Then, if the blight card is not flipped, keep removing blight until it does. Gain 3 energy per blight removed, divided as evenly as possible among all spirits. Or, pour your strength into the island. Each spirit either pays 3 energy, forgets 2 power cards, or returns 1 presence to their presence tracks. And then add 1 blight per spirit to the blight card from the box. Well, the reason that this card is so good, and when we talk about the power of Numinous Crisis, what we're really referring to is this upper portion here. This part here makes an exchange of blight for energy. The core of the argument is that flipping the blight card is not nearly as punishing as getting all of that energy is beneficial. I think the receiving energy half of the equation should be pretty intuitive to you, as it allows you to immediately swing for a big major with which you can end the game. So let's focus our energy on Blight. How much does flipping the Blight card actually matter? The first cost to flipping the Blight card is the text on the back of that card. So let's take a look and see what the possibilities are. There are currently 23 Blight cards in the game. In Nature Incarnate, Tipping Point was officially removed. I have here laid out all of those cards, organized by how much Blight is added to the card. The effects on the card scale with the quantity of Blight that the card allocates to each player. If you were to play without a Blight card, you would have 5 total Blight per player in the pool plus 1. And the devs have said that they want to have the game be similarly difficult with and without the Blight card. Therefore, when you do play with a Blight card, flipping over a 3 Blight per player card allocates the same total Blight per player when combined with the 2 from the healthy side, as if you had no Blight card at all. The 3 Blight per player cards are therefore the neutral difficulty point. If we flip a card that gives us less Blight on the card, that is an advantage to the invaders, and it is compensated with an effect that is beneficial to the players. Similarly, if we flip a card that is more than 3 Blight on the card per player, that is a benefit to the players, so the effect will be something that is advantageous for the invaders. So with that framework in mind, let's read through all of these cards, starting with the neutral ones. So we have a Pall upon the land. Immediately on each board, destroy a presence and remove a town. Okay, both the invaders and the spirits gain a small advantage here. Okay, 2 fear per player. Each spirit destroys one of the presents and loses energy. Very similar to Paul. Both teams gain an advantage. All things weaken. Ongoing starting next turn, invaders in Dahan have -1 health, and the land also has -1 health. When you add Blight, it kills all presents and beasts, and an adjacent presence. So this gives an advantage to the spirits because now our damage is much more efficient. Also gives an advantage to the invaders because when they do get to Ravage, it's much more punishing. Unnatural proliferation. Each spirit adds a presence to a land with their presence, and then add a Dahan to a land with Dahan, and 2 cities to a land with the fewest buildings. So obviously this gives an advantage both ways. And then the newest one is Slow Dissolution of Will. Each spirit chooses a token, and they have to sacrifice a present each turn, but they get one of those tokens each turn. So as we can see, all of these 3 Blight per player cards are designed to be neutral difficulty And for every single one of them, we gain a small advantage and the invaders gain a small advantage. So it comes out as a bit of a wash. Let's compare that to these 2 blight per player ones. Now these ones are an advantage to the invader by having fewer blight on the card, but these effects are going to be really, really good for us, and so that is how we get compensated. So back against the wall, each spirit phase, each spirit gets an extra energy and card play. Aid from lesser spirits. Okay, each spirit gets a minor power card that we get to play each turn for free and at no cost of our card plays or energy. This one looks pretty similar to Aid at first, but there's a few key differences. So everyone gets a major power plus 2 energy, but the key difference is that we don't get to play it for free every turn. We just get a free card and some energy. And then this one is everyone gets to proliferate or simply remove a presence from the presence tracks. And the reason why you can just remove it as opposed to adding to the board is basically because of Wildfire. It's really the only spirit that would want to just destroy their presence as opposed to add it to the island, since there could be adverse effects. Okay, so now we have all these 4s and 5s. So the 4s should be a little bit punishing for us, and the 5s should be very punishing for us. So as you can see, memory fades to dust. We have to either lose a power or a presence every turn, but we get a choice. Untended land crumbles. So each turn we have to add a blight to the board, but we can pay energy or sacrifice presence to prevent that from happening. Here, we have to sacrifice a presence turn if we have 3 or more cards in play or a card costing 4 or more energy. Thriving communities, we upgrade 4 times in 4 different lands, or 1 time each in 4 different lands. Promising farmlands, we add a town and a city to an inland land with no buildings. And then we have a new one. On each board, we have to destroy a presence every turn in a land with blight. And then this one says each spear with at least 5 presence destroys a presence. So as you saw here, there's a lot of variations on an effect that would make you destroy a presence every turn. However, for all of these that would destroy your presence every turn, it is optional. We're not forced to lose a presence every turn. Now, we'll compare that to Downward Spiral, where we don't have a choice. We just have to lose a presence every turn. Okay, and since this can put a lot of pressure on us, most spirits do not get a presence on Reclaim. That is more dangerous than these alternative costs. Now, this one is listed as a 5, but as part of its effect, it adds a blight immediately. So really, it should go into the 4s pile. But of course, adding a blight could then cascade, and it could have a few other effects. So immediately on each board, destroy a beast, and then add a blight. And then this is the newest 5 blight per player card. Every Ravage deals +2 damage per land. So now even single explorers can blight. Very, very dangerous effect. So in addition to these 19 Blighted Island cards, we also have 4 Still Healthy Island cards. If we flip a Still Healthy card, then we will do the effect that is listed, but the game continues. If we eventually run out of Blight from it, then we will push that card to the bottom of the deck and pull a new one. Since this means with any Still Healthy card, we are guaranteed at a minimum to have 5 total Blight per player, 2 healthy, at least 1 from Still Healthy, and then 2 from a Blighted Island card, then all of these cards are actually quite punishing. In theory, it is possible to have up to 14 Blight per player. So if we were to have the 2 from the start, and then we were to hit every single healthy island card, and then end on a 5, that would give us tons of Blight per player. But I wouldn't plan on that. Let's see what these say. So we have this one, 2 Blight per player. Immediately add Fear to the pool based on the terror level. This one immediately adds Blight to the board. And then this is a new one. Immediately on each board, build in 3 different lands. And a build action can happen in the land with no invaders, and you'll just get a town. And another new one, this is a 1 Blight per player card, and that happens immediately, and every invader phase, we have to sack a presence, and then we have the option to pitch a power card for energy. So we can see that all of these cards are quite punishing for us. We get significantly more Blight to work with, but the game itself is going to be a lot more challenging. I want to explicitly state before going any further of the rules change that was printed in Nature Incarnate, but was officially stated by Eric back in early 2021. Basically, be sure to add one additional Blight to the starting Blight pool such that there will now be 2 times the number of players plus 1. And on the screenshot, you can read through the rationale. Aside from the Blight card itself, there is only one other component in the whole game that cares about the status of the island, and that is events. With all expansions, there are 61 events in the deck, and broadly, you can break them up into 5 types. There are the Terror level ones, the Invader stage ones, the paid ones, and the healthy ones, and other. So the only thing that cares about the status of the Blight card is the healthy island events, of which there are 25. 41% of the event deck is these types of events, so you can just try to avoid them.
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
All of the blighted effects on these cards are fairly similar, and instead of going through them all, we can break them up into broad categories. Everything in this area here gives us a choice to either take a blight or sacrifice presence. So this upper row is sacrifice 3 presence, this row is to sacrifice 2 presence, and this row is to sacrifice 1 presence. Now this group over here gives us a choice to sacrifice presence or do something else. So this one, okay, it's Ravage and a terrain or sacrifice presence. And this 2 presence. In this one, we can sacrifice 2 presence to add a wilds in place of each, or we can get a destroyed presence back, but then we must be all slow. Okay? Over here, these can make us sacrifice 1 presence. So this one, we can forget a power card, or we can lose a presence. And then this one will make us lose a presence, but the blight that would get added comes from the box instead of the card, so it's kind of the exact opposite of this. Anyways, these 7 cards down here are going into the other category. They do not give us the blight or presence sacrifice choice. So we can see this one just removes tokens from lands with blight. This one gives an extra damage in certain lands. This one, when buildings ravage in a land, if no beasts are present, do extra damage or kill a beast. This one makes it easier for blight to get added. It only takes 1 damage instead of 2. And this one has a very similar effect. It only takes 1 damage instead of 2. Then these 2 cards down here just forcibly add a blight under certain conditions. So add a blight to a land with 2, and add a blight in a board with 6 or more blight. On the subject of forcibly adding blight, there are some other events that can manipulate the blight pool. So obviously there is Numinous Crisis, but like I said, I like to remove this one. If we take a look at all of these other events though, we can see that there are 12 events here that could add blight. Okay, but we do have some choices, right? So this one is a paid choice event. We could add a blight or pay for it. Farmers is another one that people like to remove, but this will give us a choice to add blight. We don't have to. Lesser Spirits Imperiled won't add a blight so much as we'll remove one from the card, but once again, it is a choice. We don't have to. Life's Balance Tilts gives us a paid choice. We could add a blight. We could also remove a blight. But then we have some like Cultural Assimilation, which will just forcibly add a blight via Reckless Offensive as long as the condition is met. Or Ominous Dawn. If we don't have sufficient Dahan, it will forcibly add a blight. Years of Little Rain and Sacred Sites Under Threat both give us a choice. We could pay to not have to lose the blight, and if we don't pay, we lose blight. But pulled together in the Terror level 3 can add a blight forcibly under certain conditions if there's sufficient towns. Now, this one is not one of the Blighted Island effects, but it does give us the choice to either add blight or sacrifice presence. Of course, this one, we can also sacrifice Dahan, and depending on the situation, that might be the best play. War Touches is one more choice. We could choose to add 2 blight into a single land and then get a fantastic benefit from it, or we could take the safe route and not do that. And last, we have Remnants, which also has 1,000 Small Struggles on it, which will add a Blight under certain conditions. After going through all of that, what I'm trying to say is that there always exists a pressure from the event deck to take more Blight. However, it's quite small. When we're healthy, about 1 in 6 cards, and when we're blighted, it's about half of the cards. Now, half of the cards sounds pretty terrifying, but let's take this one step further. How many events are we even going to see in a normal game? We don't pull an event on turn 1, and the average game of Spirit Island lasts 7 turns. Therefore, on average, we will see 6 events. If we stay healthy the whole game, that means we're going to see 1 event in the entire game that has a possibility of adding Blight. And if we manage to go Blighted on turn 1, that number would explode all the way up to 3. I doubt anyone has collected data on exactly when the average player goes Blighted, but let's say it happens, in the turn 4 Invader phase, so we see 3 events when healthy and 3 events when Blighted. That seems pretty reasonable to me. Well, that's just 2 events on an average game in the whole game, and that's just a possibility to add Blight. As we saw, with all of these, it's not a guarantee. They can either be actively prevented, or the conditions just might not exist to add that Blight. It's really not a big threat. I don't think it's worth the mental exercise to try and memorize the entire event deck, track every card that passes, and shift our game plan based on that extremely thin margin. I think it's better just to simply understand the existence of the threat and respect it. But this brings us full circle. So why is Numinous Crisis so good? Gaining energy is awesome and is hugely beneficial. But as it turns out, going Blighted isn't that bad at all. The Blight cards are inherently self-balancing between the quantity on the cards and the effect that it does, and there's not enough pressure from these events to force a loss. So in the end, we just come out massively ahead. But what's the point of all this, just to examine a card I don't even use? Well, I think the exercise helps us recognize the actual threat that exists when we take Blight and flip the Blight card. While we shouldn't take Blight unnecessarily, doing so with purpose can dramatically increase our win rate. We should always want to have a proactive playstyle, trying to get out ahead of the invaders and attack them before they can build up their numbers. However, different spirits have different playstyles, and sometimes we just get bad luck. Broadly, we can break the spirits up into 3 groups: those that have a defensive innate, those with just 1 defensive unique, and those with none. It's this middle group, the one with just 1 Ravage Skip or Defend in their kit, that I think is particularly interesting to hone our attention in on. With these spirits, we can broadly defend once per reclaim cycle, and then otherwise we have to attack to be proactive. When I was first learning the game, I was terrified of taking Blight, and so I played a ton of Vital Strength of the Earth because he is the best at stopping it. I struggled to win despite never going Blighted because I fell into an all too common trap. I was so focused on preventing a bad thing that I never got around to doing anything good. In particular, I would waste many turns reclaiming Year of Perfect Stillness every single turn, so I wouldn't take any Blight, but I would still always lose. Every time when I got to Stage 3 Invader card having accomplished nothing, I would get overwhelmed. In general, reclaiming is the weakest of all growth options available to a spirit. So that means the more we reclaim, the lower our total power level will be. If we want to prevent Blight without reclaiming, that means we have to play more proactively with damage and control powers, or we just take the Blight. Taking on some Blight early can help us scale up and reach our endgame power quickly and with more resources. Unless you're using the end of game scoring system to rate your games, the only thing that matters is whether or not you win. You could win with 0 Blight on the whole island, or just 1 left on the card. They are both equally a win. There's of course an upper limit to how far we can intentionally push taking Blight, and every Blight that we do take increases the risk of an unfortunate event losing the game for us. So let's chart this out. Let's draw out a pretty basic chart. Here on the x-axis is going to be the quantity of Blight left on the card, and the vertical axis is going to be the risk associated with taking Blight. When we cross this green line threshold, that's going to be when we flip from the healthy side to the blighted side. And this red line is a loss condition because of no more blight left on the card. So at the start of the game, the risk of taking blight is basically none. And that will steadily increase, though, until we get to about, a moderate level of risk when it comes to flipping the blight card. As soon as that blight card is flipped, though, the risk goes right back down. Because the binary status of being healthy or blighted is what matters. It doesn't matter how much blight is on the card, right? Like, we could go from healthy to blighted, then remove every single blight off of the island, and it doesn't make a difference. So once we have a completely refilled blight pool, we can start chipping away at it all the same. The difference now is that we're going to accelerate in risk much faster because there is a higher percentage of bad events that could, push us closer to a loss condition. And of course, as we get really close to losing, it becomes exponentially valuable. So here on the healthy side, there's a little bit of risk, not too much. It's a moderate level of risk with taking blight. But once we get to the blighted side, then we want to start being serious, and we really want to prioritize not taking blight, approaching infinity as we get to losing. If you find yourself struggling with a certain matchup, perhaps you're actually not playing risky enough. You might be playing too safe, and you're missing out on opportunities for aggression. If you find yourself in this zone for a long time, and then you wind up losing the game anyways, well, what if you had just decided to take on a little extra blight and wind up in this zone here? You could be in a much stronger position, and your risk level is right about the exact same. I like to think about this game as a fight, as a battle, as a war, where we have to go up a competent opponent, and we can't go out of this battle unscathed, or else that means that the opponent is, a little illegitimate. We're going to get plenty of great hits in on them, but they're going to get some hits in on us too. And we have to just keep on powering forward to persevere in the end.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Thanks, Rocky. Going through the history of the game, it is interesting to see how the design surrounding Blight has changed. In the base game, there was no event, and there was only 2 Blight cards. And that was Downward Spiral and Memory Fades to Dust. Both of these are extremely punishing. So there's this initial reputation of flipping the Blight card being a terrifying thing to do. Then Branching Claw came out, and we got 2 spirits who are both a bit allergic to taking Blight. So that thought of flipping the Blight card being devastating continues to be pervasive. Jagged Earth swung the other way with 2 adversaries that directly incentivize you to take Blight with Russia 6 and HLC 4. Now, with Nature Incarnate, there's some really interesting things done with Blight that I see when I look at Roots, where you have to be proactive to prevent the Blight by setting up Vitality in lands where there is no Blight. Sun, where you can add a lot of Blight through your powers, but you also have the means to sacrifice your presence instead of taking Blight. And Wounded Waters, where you can start to push Blight around, and you need Blight in order to use some of your control powers. And, of course, the way that they had HME utilize Blight is also just fascinating. So I just think Blight is a brilliant aspect of the game, trying to toe the line between safety and power. So let's get into our game of the day. We're going to be playing Rising Heat of Stone and Sand. I think this spirit perfectly encapsulates the things that we were talking about today. If we have the opportunity to scale up, we are one of the strongest spirits in the game. Between our special rule and our innate power, we have access to literally infinite damage. But we have one really strong Ravage skip, so we're going to be incentivized to be reclaiming a lot so that way we can prevent our problems from happening. If we do that though, our reclaim doesn't add any presence, and so we won't be able to achieve our endgame power. There's a lot of tension pulling us both ways, and I think that's really interesting. Alright, let's see what we get. We get France 5. Alright. Cool. So we're going to start off with the Sands Explorer, which is really nice on this board because we prevented a double France 1. Now, no matter what comes up next, we're going to have reduced Explorers. That's a pretty nice high roll. My favorite build on Rising Heat is to go for G3 a bunch of times until we get to 3 card plays, because it just fills you up with plenty of resources with energy and cards, so when we reclaim, you're in a pretty strong position. So we're going to do that now. Drought is a pretty funny one going against France, and we do have the Suns to make it work. It actually is like great elements for us, like play these 3 cards, get the triple fire, the double earth, the triple sun. So it actually works out wonderfully. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and take that. And especially against France, where like that is a very common thing to get lots of towns in one land. But we're going to go here. And we're going to play Call on Herders. So whatever comes up next, we can just deal with it. And we'll play... Or I like doing this combo against France, because next turn we're going to be here or here. I mean, if we're here, like whatever. But if we're here, 2 out of the 3 options, it completely solves it for us with that first innate. And so with Gift of Searing Heat, I'm actually going to pay an energy to kill that Explorer. Later phase event, Cities Rise. We get to dodge this one. That's nice. Build and explore jungles. Fantastic. Cool. So we took the chance, 2/3. That was going to work out great for us. And here we go. We get to kill both of these explorers. And then we're going to use our Stinging Sandstorm to do a fear, bring our presence in, and kill off this town. Time passes. Okay, once again, we're going to gain a miner, gain 2 energy. And here we have a few interesting choices, right? We could just let this be. We'll take a Blight, but the Dahan will kill the town. Okay? And that allows us to invest our energies over here. Or maybe we save our Sweltering Exhaustion for this land over here. But we could also go for the Sap play. Okay, Sap could defend this, which means that Sweltering Exhaustion could deny this. We could take a more proactive play with Pact of the Joint Hunt. We could bring this in order to do a whole bunch of damage, but that would not be sufficient. Maybe we combine it with Call on Herders for aid. I do like Sap, though, so I think we're going to go Sap, and we'll do Sweltering Exhaustion plus Call on Herders. And we need to have a Sacred Site within range 2 of this land, so we're going to put our presence right there. Fast. Ravage skip. And then here we are. During the first successful Ravage action, the Invader phase deals total damage. Okay, so it increases the damage on the Ravage. However, we've got a full clean skip, so that doesn't do anything. Isolate land with Beast. It's not going to do anything. And then we get a free Dahan in the land with the most Dahan. Thank you very much. That'll help us out a lot when we play our Sap next turn. Ravage. Build. Explore the wetlands. Oh, hey there. Okay. And then we're going to use this Call on Herders for aid. So we can come here, go gather, and we can push these 2 explorers out. Hopefully this beast will do like 2 damage or kill 2 explorers. It'll just solve our problems for us. All right, time passes. I'm not sure if we're even going to use this drought. Probably not. And if we don't use this drought, is there even any point in doing this growth option? I'm kind of thinking this might be the turn. Oh, I do need to do this growth option so I can be in range for Sap. Okay. Gain a miner, gain 2 energy. Play you, and probably you. Just get a little bit of control out there. But if I don't need you... Here's an opportunity, right? Like, I could just go, like, super greedy here. And then, you know, just let that build up. Maybe even let it ravage. But then we can just start growing a ton and playing all of these cards. I think maybe if I hold on for one more turn and I pick up any, like, fire card, I can pick up this earth. It'll give me an innate power. And it'll just give me a lot of strength on my next turn. So we'll go sap, defend. Vader phase, add a blight to a land with buildings, and we can pay 1 energy in order to prevent that. So, boom. Each land with disease, 1 damage to each invader. Then add a Dahan to a land with Dahan at range 0. Alright, so we're going to ravage here. I'm going to build here, and then because of triangle trade, we have to add a town to an adjacent land. If I go here, that opens up the opportunity for an escalation. Fewest towns. So all of these have 0, so I'm going to go here so that way this land's going to be pocketed, and we're not going to be guaranteed taking a blight. Explore the mountains. And this land's pocketed too. So that works out pretty good. We can either take a blight here or add a town here. I like the idea of holding on to this pocket, so we're actually just going to take a blight to protect ourselves. And with that, time passes. We know that Slaves Rebellion is coming up this turn, so that'll pick up this guy here. We very well could just take a blight here and then, you know, reclaim and deal with this land. So I still don't know if this drought was necessary. Maybe it's not. But yeah, we're going to miner, gain 2 energy. Yeah, any fire card would have given us our would have given us an innate, but alas, we are not so lucky. Blight removal is not going to do a heck of a lot for us. Golly. We're going to take this blight removal just because we have drought. And go straight up to 4 card plays. Oh yeah, another option is like, oh no, I need that and that, so that wouldn't have worked. We'll go here. We're going to remove the blight that's going to happen here in this wetlands, even though France 5 will make that a little trickier. And we'll play this, and I can't foresee us playing drought this turn, so we're just not going to waste the energy. The elements do not assist us. Fast phase, nothing. Invader phase event, Slaves Rebellion, thank you very much. Terra level 1, we ignore Strife, okay. Beast kill 2 explorers, let's go. And then Dahan defense. And defend 3 in the coasts. Okay. We'll add a blight here, build here, and explore the sands. And we're going to add a town here. Since I think no matter what, it doesn't matter about pocketing this out because we already passed the stage 2 mountains. This is still the same, so that's unaffected. This is unaffected, so it's perfectly fine to go here and then not worry about a triangle trade. Okay, here we get 1 fear, and we can remove this. Then over here, we get 2 fear. And then in the mountain jungles, we can push, but alas, it's a sands. Yeah, time passes. So by taking the extra blight, we were able to slow roll a little bit, and now when we reclaim, we're going to be in a much, much stronger position. Reclaim, gain an energy, and we'll gain a minor card. And now we have tons of great choices. I do like the idea of taking Scour the Land because that will have 3 towns in it. That'll be pretty clean. Who needs Drought? We have Scour. But actually, Drought is actually probably just going to get used right here, and we'll make sure to hit the triple suns. Yeah, then we'll do something like Sap and Gift of Searing Heat in order to take care of this. So our game plan is to go here, here. We could do here, here, here. And that'll threshold the Drought to solve our 5. And then we can even play Uncanny Melting to take that Blight right back. But we do have one more card that we can play, so we might as well play like Shadows of Burning Forest, gives us access to this innate, and that means that we are pretty free on our reclaim. So unless if I want to throw down a beast, then it really doesn't matter. I'm going to take this Poison Dew, just because being able to kill multiple explorers is nice. No, that costs energy. Let's go here. Nothing fast. Oh, wait. Hold on a second. I meant to play Sweltering Exhaustion. So we go here instead of this, which net loses us 2 energy. Fear. And protect ourselves. Okay. Alright, we're back at it. Invader Phase event. Explore cards matches everything without buildings. Oh no. Oh no. Choose a land with disease. None. 2 Dahan among their lands. Yes, we do. Reclaim a power card or regain. We just reclaimed all no value for us. During the next normal build, skip the lowest number land. Hey. Ravage is skipped. Build is skipped. City Town. And the Explore will match everything without buildings. So we'll go here, 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 here. Well, that was scary. But at least now our Sap will cleanly defend this, and we can focus on these issues. Okay. So we're going to use Call on Herders for aid to come over here, push in 2 Dahan, and that will push a town in this way, and an Explorer, let's go this way with it. Then we can use Drought with Threshold to kill 3 towns and the city, and then add a Blight, which will flip the Blight card. Okay, a conditional presence sacrifice only if we have 5 or more presents. Currently, we have exactly 5, so every time that we grow besides reclaiming, we have to sacrifice presents. Then we're going to use, or actually, oh, I have my 2 damage innate right there. Is there anything I can use that on? If I had the Sacred Site, that wouldn't have done anything. We're looking at either jungles or wetlands as the next card. I guess we kill these 2. Okay, Uncanny Melting, Fear, remove a Blight. Time passes. Okay, so we know we want to Sap. And actually, I could just play the whole hand. Right? If we get that fire off the bottom track, if we go here, here, it's not a bad turn. Can grow like this and this. I like it. Sap defend 5. And in fact, we have the extra range. Do we just go straight to a Sacred Site? I think we do. Because that allows us to Stinging Sandstorm this way, or gives us more options. Swarming Wasps. Let's drop a Beast out this way. Hopefully Beast kill Explorers for us. Searing Heat. We could pay an energy and kill that town. We're not under any threat of losing to towns. But that is... It makes our Ravage next turn easier to defend. So we'll pay an energy, and we'll kill that town. Okay, Invader Phase. We have at least 5 on the island, so we'll sacrifice you. Event. We're Blighted. Add a Blight to a land adjacent to a land with Blight. Alright, so I'm going to put a little 1 here. So we got Blighted on turn 6. Before this, how many Blight did we take from these cards? As a direct result of these cards, we took 0 Blight, and this is going to be our first time taking a Blight as a result of a event. So just keeping track of that to prove my point. Each beast generates a fear. Heck yeah. And Dahan on an inland land. All right, get a friend. 3 fear cards. Remove a dude over town from a land with presence. Either jungles or wetlands. I guess it's irrelevant which one it is, so we'll go here. We'll hedge our bets. Choose a land with Beast, Strife, or Dahan, and downgrade a building there, or skip the next build action there. Okay, so we'll skip the next build action over here. Place a dude over town with a Dahan in a land with 2 or more Dahan. Hey, good thing we held on to it. Yeah, good thing we held on to it, because that is now a Dahan. Although it's even funnier, actually, if we had a... if we knew it was coming, we could have downgraded that and then turned it into a Dahan. That would have been pretty sweet. But alas, we're going to Ravage here. Okay, skip the build a town, and explore the wetlands. And we could either take a Blight here or just put a town here. I think we just take the town. We are pretty close to getting it back, but I'd rather, France kind of twist it up a little bit. We could just take a Blight to scale, though. And if we do that, if we just take Blight to scale, is that too cute? Trying to take a Blight there? And then we can just defend it with the sap, and then, everything is hunky-dory. Let's do it. Why not? Let's live a little. All right. Here we have Shadows of the Burning Forest. 2 damage to explorers. Okay, we're just going to do 2 fear pushing this way with Shadows. And then we're going to do 2 damage plus 2 to an explorer. So we're going to kill a city and the 2 explorers here. And then over here with a Stinging Sandstorm, we're going to target this land, and it's just going to be a fear and damage. Time passes. Reclaim, defend this, and probably just win. Yeah, if we had added the town here, then we are not necessarily winning right there. Okay, reclaim, gain energy, gain a miner. Keep on gaining miners because we have no energy to work with. I really like Domesticated Animals. It's a fire defend card. What else could you want in life? And let's see, we'll do Sap. We'll do Uncanny Melting. So that way we can get all of our Blight back. And then we just need to play, 3 other cards just to pad things out. So we need an air card. Might as well play Gift of Searing Heat for that purpose. And if we do like a Fire Earth card next, how about a triplet element card? And we have 1 more card to play. If we do another Fire Earth card, that'll give us plenty of innate damage. We should just be able to win the game right here. Then if the game were to continue, we are 1 energy shy of just going top. So... well, actually, we have Gift of Searing Heat, so Searing Heat, boom, boom. Here, defend 5. Invader phase. 5 or more presence? Yes, we do. We'll sacrifice here. Event. Stage 3. Island is blighted, so we get another fear card to the top of the deck. 1 damage per beast. And and added a Han to a land with 2 or more to Han. Alright, I think we just win here. Downgrade a town, we ain't got one. Bada bing, bada boom. Terror level 2 victory. So in this game, I made a point to pretty aggressively take Blight. We didn't even have to take Blight here, but maybe I was just trying to make a point. But the moral of the story is that all of this Blight that comes down, we were never really threatened. We still have some on the card. We had 2 on the card. We're about to go up to 5 on the card. Only one time did we have to take Blight from an event, and it was completely preventable. Like, we did not have to take this Blight. I kind of forced it to take Blight, maybe just to, maybe just to be like, hey, it really doesn't matter. So if you feel like that you're struggling to take your game to the next level, try being more aggressive. Try taking a little bit more Blight and seeing if, let the invaders hit you just so you can hit them back even harder. Maybe that's the way to go forwards. Until next time, have a great day, guys.